Okay, all right, guys. So basically, your lecture is done, but I have few important announcements to make. So let me do that. Okay, so please stay for this last 10 minutes or whatever it is. Okay, so firstly, for this week, this current week, week 5, you have no face-to-face tutorials. Why? Because these tutorials are for your oral presentation planning time. All right. So you can choose this to do this, say face-to-face, just with your say group mates, or you can do this via Skype or Zoom or whatever is convenient for you. But this time is your time for you to plan and prepare for your oral presentations, because next 2 weeks, week 6 and week 7 of your tutorials, they are devoted for oral presentations. Okay, so you will have a bunch of students who would be giving their presentation in week 6 and the remaining in week 7. All right, so all of your presentations will be over before your mid-semester exam, which is great. All right, so basically what I have decided is that I will still hold Canvas virtual Blackboard times for you. Okay, so from 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. All right, so it will be the same day, Friday. Okay, so when you have your tutorials, okay, so from 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. I will be available on Canvas virtual Blackboard. So if you have any, say, doubts, queries regarding your presentation, if you want further support regarding your presentation, I would be happy to have a chat with you. Okay, so these are just informal, say, office hours sort of times to support you with your presentation. It is not compulsory. Not all of you have to attend these, say, virtual Blackboard consultation time. But if you need any support, if you think I can be helpful, I would be very happy to help you out and give you some tips and guidance regarding your oral presentation. Okay, so some of the students, they don't know where Canvas virtual Blackboard is, so I will just show that to you. Okay, so let me just share the screen. Then I will be showing you the oral presentation rubric. Okay, so we will just quickly go over the rubric, which gives you a better idea regarding how you need to prepare for your presentation. Okay, so now I'll show you first the Canvas virtual Blackboard, then we will go through the rubric. I'll be showing you the Word document rubric. Okay, so first is the Canvas virtual Blackboard. So I'm sharing the screen with you now. Okay, so hang on, this is not the screen. Let me share it with you. Yep, so that's the screen. Let me see if the right screen is shared. Yep, so you have the virtual rooms. Okay, so guys, I have logged into the Nutrition and Disease Canvas site. Okay, do you see on the left hand column you have virtual room? This is where you have to go. Okay, virtual room. And then I have already created a session over here. The session is oral presentation, optional consultation. Okay, so it's an optional consultation time. So when is it? It is on 4th of September. Okay, so which is your Friday, from 12:30 to 2:30. So 2 hours of these consultation optional time. So just log in between these 2 hours if you have a doubt, if you want to chat about your presentation, and I'll be there. I'll be there online and we can have a chat. And if you have any doubts, I can help you with that. Okay, so it's pretty informal and not compulsory. If you think I can be helpful, I'll be there for these 2 hours. Okay, so yeah, that's that. And then now I'll share with you the rubric. Okay, so yeah, this is the rubric which you have for your oral presentation. So as I said, your oral presentations are due week 6 and week 7. So this week tutorial is your oral presentation planning time. Then week 6 and week 7 is when you have your presentations due. So these presentations are again going to be happening face to face in the tutorial on campus. Okay, so those students who have never attended tutorial, okay, or do not attend tutorial often, well, you will have to make time and attend these face to face tutorial just for your session. Okay, all right, so yes, you have your oral presentation which is due week 6 and week 7. Okay, so those students who are presenting in week 6, so please submit your PowerPoint presentation and things on Canvas by week 6. Those who are presenting in week 7, please submit your PowerPoint presentation on Canvas in week 7. Okay, so yes, all of your presentation, they should be on say PowerPoint slide like the one which we use, the normal PowerPoint. And if you are good, You can even use Prezi if you want. Okay, if you don't know what's Prezi, then it's okay, just use PowerPoint. All right. Then students, they are free to choose their font size and font style. So all that is fine with me. Minimum of 3 reference you should be having. Okay. Latest reference is more advisable. Okay. So try having as latest references as possible. Okay. And they should be from the year 2000 onwards. All right. Then you have to be and include your references on the very last slide of your PowerPoint presentation. Okay, and you can choose any referencing style which you want. APA, Vancouver, I couldn't be bothered. Any style is good. Okay, then remember, say you may be 3 people in one group, you may be 4 people in one group. Only one person from that group should submit the PowerPoint presentation on Canvas. Okay, I don't want 4 people in the same group submitting the same PowerPoint slide 4 times. Okay, that is, I don't want that, because I'll be marking you on one PowerPoint slide. I just want that one PowerPoint slide submitted by the group leader. Okay. All right. So yes, all of your content which you source for your presentation, it should be scholarly material. Okay. So it can't be, say, any, say some .com site. Okay. It has to be a scholarly material. Of course, you can use sites such as World Health Organization, United Nations, Australian Bureau of Statistics. All that is fine. Those are legitimate sites. Okay. But not something like Eat for Fun Fact site, something like that. Okay. So not such things. Then presentation feedback, as I said, I'll be providing in class right after the presentation. Okay. And when I give you the presentation feedback in class, it is not to put you down or anything, guys. Please remember, appreciate. It is for your learning. Okay. And it is for the wider class learning as well. Okay. If I give you feedback in your ears like this, others won't get the opportunity to learn the same things. So this is the entire aim of giving you feedback in the class, is for everybody else to learn the same thing. So you learn these skills. So when you are going in the future presenting elsewhere, you have those things ticked off. Okay. All right. So when you come for your presentation in the classroom, please wear a name tag for your presentation. Okay. So your name should be over here. So Rati. Okay. So I should have a name tag where I can see the name clearly. Some students, they make these tiny name tags. And some of them make these big name tags, but then they have written their names in pencil. How am I supposed to see? Like, you know, I'm sitting like what? Like pretty far away from you guys. It's so difficult for me to see if you've written it in pencil. Okay, so please write your names in a proper black marker or something. Any color marker will do, but it should be dark. It should be visible. It should be of a decent size. Okay, so wear a name tag. I don't mind if you just, use a pin and you septipin it. That is all cool. I don't want you to have, say, like a professional one, like laminated, no, but have something which is visible. Okay. Then you have to dress formally for your in-class presentation. This is very, very important, guys, because if you see all of your topics, they are pertaining to something where you're acting as health professionals. It's in a simulated setting. So please dress up professionally. Okay. And if you're doing, say, something, say, very creative with the audience, and you need to dress up in a particular manner. So say, like, if you are, for example, if you are, say, doing a presentation for children and you want to dress up like a banana or an apple, see, those things are different. I absolutely appreciate that, and that will be welcomed. But don't come in your, say, shorts and t-shirts and give a presentation. Unacceptable. All right. Dress up formally, dress up, smart, formal, or something like that for your presentation. Don't turn up in your jeans and your t-shirt. Okay. And if you don't have a formal wear, where it's high time you at least own one formal wear. Why? Because very soon you will be graduating, you'll be applying for jobs and positions. You need to have at least one formal wear. Okay. And Kmart is really cheap. All right. Okay. All right. And then yes. And one more thing which you need to do. This is very important, guys. If you are presenting slide number 1 to 5, your name and your student number should be there on those slides. Okay. So Rati Jani, student number should be there on slide 1 to 5. Then my partner, it could be, say, Nicole Smith, who's presenting, say, slide number 6 to 10. Her name should be there on the PowerPoint slide, like in tiny letters at the end, but whichever PowerPoint slide you're presenting, have your names on those PowerPoint slide. Okay, that is important. Other thing which is important is I need a handout of your presentation. So when you come for your presentation, you should be giving me a handout of your presentation, all right? Because that is where I write comments and things. So I need a handout, okay? So I need a handout of your presentation. If you have developed anything else for your presentation, say a recipe booklet or a pamphlet or a flyer, something like that, that is welcomed, okay? Because of COVID, because of Corona, please do not develop any recipes for the class to eat. No consumption, okay? No consumption whatsoever, all right? If you have developed any sort of educational resources, like a flyer or a recipe booklet, that is only for me, the examiner, to have, okay? Do not distribute 10 flyers in the class and 10 recipe booklets in the class, no, okay? So none of that. So with the audience, you're not going to develop any, you're not going to say, feed them anything, okay? Any hard copy resources which you have will be for me, okay? And I need all of your hard copy resources. I need a hard copy of your PowerPoint presentation and any other resources which you develop, like a flyer or a pamphlet or whatever it is, okay? And on the Canvas side, you only need to submit your PowerPoint presentation, because I already have your recipe booklet and your flyer or whatever it is. You do not need to submit that on the Canvas side. On the Canvas side, only the PowerPoint presentation, nothing else. Okay. So I hope this is clear. All right. So then remember the topic selection, as I said, you will be, you have already done that. So that is not applicable at this stage. Group member marking, that is applicable. Okay, so if you are working with 3 other people and you feel these 3 other people, your group mates, they have done an excellent job, they have really pitched in and they have done a good job, then there are no issues. You give them, say, your 5 out of 5, because I think it is 5 marks. Yes, it is 5 marks for group member rating and 25 marks is what I'll be marking you out of. Okay, so I'll mark you out of 25, all right? And you will mark your group members out of 5, okay? If you feel your group members did not pitch in well and they did not do a good work, then you have all rights to give them, say, 2 out of 5 or 3 out of 5 or whatever you feel is appropriate, okay? But if you are marking them down, you need to give a justification, you need to give a reasoning, okay? And there is space for you to give a justification, reasoning on this link, okay? So you need to justify. If I feel your justification is valid, I'll consider your mark, meaning your 3 out of 5 which you have given to your group mate. If I think your reason is not valid, I will not consider that mark, okay? Because I have had cases where the students have said, she eats in the class, I don't like that, and so I have given her 3 out of 5. She eating in the class has nothing to do with you, okay? She may be professional in her work and she has done good in the group work. You mark her professionally, okay? So if you are doing it as a professional, which is great, I'll definitely respect and I'll be considering your mark. But if you're being unfair to your group member, that will not be tolerated, okay? So that is at my discretion, all right? Okay. So guys, these are your topics, okay, which you have to choose from. All right, so the topics which you have, for instance, as I said, you have already chosen. So I'm not going into the details of that. You already know your topic, okay, and you know who you're working with as well. So it is all good. That is all done. So that is that. Okay, yes, I just wanted to quickly run you through the rubric. Okay, so you know basically what is it that you're going to be marked on. All right, so for instance, over here you have, say, 20% is allocated for your content presentation. All right, so for instance, what is content presentation? Where you have, say, prevalence of, you always start with this. These are the things which you will be needing. Okay, so in your 20%, I will need prevalence of the nutrient deficiency. For example, if your topic is iron deficiency, say anemia. Okay, so over here, your nutrient deficiency is iron deficiency and the nutrient issue is anemia within your target population. So your issue may be, say, iron deficiency anemia within, say, Indian girls. So like say Indian girls, teenage Indian girls living in rural villages of India. Okay. So what if you as a health professionals are say presenting to this audience? Okay. So I will need your prevalence on this. Okay. So meaning you will start off by saying, for instance, what is the global prevalence of iron deficiency? All right. So it could be say 1 billion people in the world are suffering from iron deficiency anemia. Then you will come to your target audience that within India, so many people are suffering from iron deficiency anemia. And then you may say that if you have statistics on it, which you do have because I know the Indian population, so you will be saying that yes, within Indian girls of this age group, there are so many girls which are iron deficient. Okay, there could be some cases in which you do not have prevalence rate for your particular audience, like for tribal mothers living in the Himalaya or something like that. So in that case, you just have to go with the general statistics, like say iron deficiency within the Himalayan region. If you don't have that, then iron deficiency within the India-Nepal region. Okay, do you understand? So that is how you go broader. But the one stat which you have to give is for the global prevalence. So around the world, around the globe, internationally, how many people are suffering globally from so and so? Okay, it could be adults, children, depending upon your target population. Then you come down one step lower, which could be say your population for that country. It could be India, it could be US, it could be Australia, it could be Nepal, wherever. Then you see if you have any country specific data for your particular target population, which is tribal girls or teenage girls within the Indian population, so on and so forth. Okay. So yes, so you have prevalence. So prevalence is three-tiered, all right? So you have your international level prevalence, your national country specific level prevalence, and then your population level prevalence, your particular population, target population. All right, this is very important. You have to explain the diet disease relationship in simple layman terms, because remember, your audience is teenage tribal girls living in India. Okay, so you need to teach them how does iron deficiency cause anemia. Okay, so the pathophysiological mechanism, you have to teach them in simple terms, and you can be very creative about it. You can use analogies. Okay, so you can use hypothetical analogies, like you know how I have taught you. So insulin is like what is it? Insulin is like your taxi, and the glucose is sitting inside the taxi and things like that. You definitely can teach them like that. All right. Previously, students have made amazing flow charts, amazing animated videos to teach them analogies in simplistic terms. All right. Of course, there are certain, say, names of enzymes and certain medical terminologies which you will have to use, and which is completely okay. All right. For example, if you were teaching them about, say, vitamin D, see the activation of vitamin D, you cannot not teach them about 25-hydroxy and 125-hydroxy. Okay, so you will be using those kind of scientific terms, but whenever you use these scientific terms, you will explain to them what it means. If you say this is the enzyme which is used to digest protein. Okay, so they will say enzyme. What is enzyme? Okay, so you will say enzyme is, say, basically a chemical type of substance which helps us to, say, break down our food. And that is the breaking down of our food is what then at the end gives us energy. So this is called as an enzyme. So this is how you have to explain to them in simple terms. Okay, whatever medical terminology you use. So it is not wrong for you to use medical terminologies. You will have to use certain medical terminologies because you just can't have any other way around it. Completely acceptable. But explain to them what those terms mean. All right. Okay. Then you have to develop 3 to 5 health promotion messages for your target audience. Okay. And you have to make it as quantifiable and specific as possible. And see this, I have color coded it for you in green. See example below. So this is the example. Okay. So look at my health promotion message over here. This has to be very, very specific. This should feel like a health professional has developed this message, not someone walking on the street saying, yeah, you should eat more fruit and veggies. That's not a health promotion message. Okay. So adolescent girls living in tribal India. Okay. So basically that was our say target group. All right. So example of a health promotion message could be, for instance, It could be say 4 tablespoons. All right. And see how I have given you both values. I have told you 4 tablespoons, which is around 80 grams. But if you tell a layman audience just 80 grams, they'll be like, what does 80 grams look like? Then if you show them this size 4 tablespoons, that will make absolute sense to them. Okay. Therefore, you see my quantification is very specific. So 4 tablespoons, okay, consumption of locally available and affordable garden crush seeds. Okay. And when I say they are affordable and they are say available, I'm not just making it up, because I have looked at data which shows that 500 grams of garden seeds is less than 10 Indian rupees. So rupees is say like dollars in Australia. Okay, that's the currency rate. All right. So garden crush seeds are like your sesame seeds, but they are very high in iron. Okay. So I'm telling my audience, have 4 tablespoons of these seeds. Okay. And 500 grams cost less than 10, say 10 rupees, which is really cheap. All right. Then I have said garden crush seeds. Okay. And I have told you, what will it do? It will give you 100 milligram of iron in 100 grams. That is how rich these garden crush seeds are. All right. So they have 100 milligrams of iron in 100 grams. All right. Cook it as a sweet snack. Okay. And then the recipe will be provided. Maybe I give them a handout or a flyer, which you are giving it to me. Okay. As an examiner. So I can see what recipe you have developed. Previously, when there was no COVID, students used to do amazing things. They used to actually say, bring the sesame snaps, and then we used to eat it in the class, and it was fun. But no, let's not exchange food and things. We have to be low risk. Okay. So no, you will just give a recipe handout to me and I'll be like, yeah, the recipe is there. All good. All right. Okay. So yes, sesame snap in an iron wok. And why in an iron wok? Because it increases your bioavailability. Okay. It will increase your bioavailability by approximately 20%. And this will support in addressing iron deficiency. Do you see how specific and quantifiable is my message? I haven't said anywhere, just have 1 cup of spinach and that will increase your iron. How much is 1 cup? Like, it is like what, 100 gram, 200 gram? What is the bioavailability in that 1 cup? Do you think that will be sufficient? Do they even eat spinach? Culturally specific? Okay, so you have to consider a lot of things. All right, so you see, this is how you have to make targeted messages. All right. Okay, so yes, so as I said, yes, you have to develop 3 to 5 specific health promotion messages. Okay, they have to be very quantifiable and specific. All right. Then you have to develop minimum 5 questions of Kahoot quiz, and then you have to play it with your audience. So like, how we play Kahoot quiz in the class, you will do the exactly same thing. You will develop a Kahoot quiz, and remember with your Kahoot quiz, no more than 10 seconds, okay, per question. So don't give the class more than 10 seconds because we have number of presentations to finish in a tutorial. All right. So yes, no more than 10 presentations to 10 seconds per question. Minimum 5 questions you will be having. All right. And the class will play your Kahoot quiz. The questions will be strictly based on what you have covered in the presentation. All right. And don't worry, if the class scores low, doesn't mean that I'll give you a low mark. Maybe they were not paying attention. All right. Or other reasons. But yes, don't worry. I won't be undermining you for that. All right. But yes, you need to play a Kahoot quiz with your class. And if they score really well, this just shows how amazing your presentation was. All right. So yes, so that's about that. And for the postgraduate students, they will be say summarizing and critiquing a research article. All right. And how do you say what is the template to be used? I will be telling you more about that in the tutorial. Okay. So for those students, I'll be telling more about that in the tutorial for them. All right. So yes, but I'll stop over here. I won't be going into this because this is only applicable for postgraduate students, not for all of you generally. Okay. So for undergraduate students, you will be doing all of these points: prevalence, mechanism, pathophysiological mechanism. All right. Then you have your health promotion messages and the Kahoot quiz. Postgraduate students, you will be doing all of this plus an additional factor, which is summarizing and critiquing a research article. All right. Okay, then you have your references on the last slide, and your presentation style carries 5 marks, which is the confidence and the clarity with which you give the presentation. All right, so yes, yeah, that's it. This is what I wanted to show you, okay, which was important for you to understand your rubric. Okay, now we will go back to the PowerPoint slide. Okay, so yes, week 5, you have no face-to-face tutorial. You have a optional, say, consultation time. Okay, otherwise you use the time in developing your presentation. Okay, so don't just use this time, start developing your presentation much more beforehand. All right, and I have explained to you what the rubric looks like, so which is good. Okay, now you have your so yes, don't worry, because the week 5 tutorial is used for consultation. I have still developed Kahoot quiz for your liver health lecture, and I have still given you example questions for you to practice. Okay, but the only thing, you will be practicing this in your own time. Okay, because we are using this time for consultation sessions, so you will be practicing these mechanisms in your own time. All right, but these slides, they look like your regular tutorial slides. They will be available for you for your own practice. So this week's tutorial on liver health is a self-practice one. So practice these pathophysiological mechanisms in scientific term, in layman term, in your own time. It's your own self-study. Okay. All right, guys. So